Yo! Welcome back to another video. What do you know? We'll react to another rapper that lost his relevancy throughout the years.
Oh my god!
At this point, I might as well just make this into a series on my channel. But if you don't know, I made a YouTube short dedicated to the rapper Maddox. But what do you know? My YouTube recommended the following day gives me a Twisted World YouTube video on Maddox. But would you look at that timing? You know, we mess with Twisted World's content over here. If you don't know who Maddox is, it's basically a 13-year-old kid that blew up around the 2017, 2018 era. Made a song called Overwhelming, had fidget spinners in it.
In the trenches, got us one flexing, feeling what I'm ripping, we many killed it.
Song was a banger. Time went on, I think he had like another hit song with X, some type of feature on X's old album. That song was a banger too. Those are the only key points I can remember now of Maddox's career, which is why we're gonna react to this video about Twisted World. Let's just find out what actually happened to Maddox.
Maddox is a name that you probably haven't heard in a long time. However,
World
when you
too.
do hear it, it probably reminds
videos,
you of simpler
bro.
times. In the years from 2017 to 2019. During those couple years in hip-hop, it really felt like there was a new gimmick rapper popping off almost every single month. Whether it was Zan Frank with his crazy face tattoo, Blueface for his offbeat rapping, long neck and wide neck for a pretty self-explanatory reason.
Bro, do you remember them guys, bro? Oh my god, bro. Those guys weren't even rappers, bro. They were just like Instagram clout addicts, bro. I don't even count them for it, but I do remember that. That was a weird era. And Supreme Patty too. You remember him? Supreme Patty putting lemon juice in his eyes?
Or somebody like Boom Gang, who basically blew up by stealing from people and
Boom
posting
Gang.
videos online. And depending who you ask, they'll either describe this moment in hip-hop as the absolute worst era to ever take place or the absolute best. There's basically no in between. And I'm not gonna lie to you, I'm definitely in the positive camp when it comes to this era of hip-hop, but at the same time, I can admit that a lot of these rappers really didn't have a whole lot of talent behind what they were doing. However, there is one gimmick that I left out, because during this time there was really a trend going on in hip-hop where rappers were getting younger and younger by the month. I believe this trend started off with Lil Pump, with him being the whole youngest flexer at the age of 15.
I'm the youngest flexer. I'm the youngest flexer.
But as time went on, things got even more and more absurd, with people like Bad Baby blowing up at the age of 13, Lil Tay blowing up at the age of 9, although to be fair, she wasn't really a rapper, she was more so an Instagram personality. Then you got people like YNWB Slime and Lil Blurry, who I believe
Lil Blurry! Bro, oh my god, I've been so deep in, bro, throughout the years, bro. I should have started YouTube years back. Like, did people even know that he was signed with Lil Boosie at one point? Like, Lil Boosie actually signed this dude, bro. I don't know if y'all, like, if that's low-key or not, but I remember I remember vividly, DJ Khaled. Yes, DJ Khaled and Lil Boosie was promoting this young Caucasian man, bro. This young Caucasian little boy. I don't know why, bro, but yes, that was actual fact.
If you want to look at the OG young rapper, you gotta look at Maddox. An artist who at the young age of only 12 managed to blow up in a big way, get connected to a lot of big time producers like working on Dying, as well as artists like XXXTentacion and Chief Keef, with multiple songs with millions and millions of streams. But even with a resume like that, a lot of people really like to overlook Maddox, seeing him as yet again another clout chaser who hopped on the young rapper trend and rode it to the top, before completely falling off and fading into irrelevancy. But the thing about Maddox is, he never really went away. If you look at his current discography, he's dropped more mixtapes in the past couple years than he ever did at the height of his career. And a lot of these new songs are still doing numbers even to this day, when most of the mainstream industry has completely forgotten about Maddox. So today I want to take a look at his story, the rise, the fall, and the possible return of the man himself, Maddox. Let's get into it. Matthew Christopher Guerrier was born December 13, 2004 in Philadelphia, Pennsylvania, to a very young mother who ended up having him at only the age of 15. When it comes to Matt's father, on the other hand, we really don't have a whole lot of information about him, because unfortunately he would end up passing away when Matt was only 2 years old. This came as the result of him struggling with his mental health for years before Matt was born, and unfortunately this would eventually catch up to him and he ended up taking his own life. I'm not certain if his father was a lot older than his mother and maybe that's the reason behind it, or it's possible that the two of them were very young when they had Matt, but either way, it's an incredibly unfortunate situation, and it left Matt without a father figure, as his mother never got remarried or found a new man during the time that he was growing up. However, luckily for him, his mother was very close to her family, with him having an uncle and a couple aunts that would look after him when she wasn't around, as well as him and his mother having kind of a brother-sister type relationship, considering the age difference between them. And Matt's uncle would really take on that father figure role for him, with him being in a band during the time that Matt was growing up. And it was through this connection that Matt was eventually able to get in some pretty professional studios at a very young age. However, in his early life, he really wasn't all that fascinated in music, basically only listening to what came on the radio or what was on TV, but eventually he would hear two rappers that would change his life forever. With him first hearing Eminem on the radio when he was only 8 years old, before then hearing Kendrick Lamar a little bit later on. And luckily for him, he did hear Kendrick Lamar, because we already know what happens to people who grow up listening primarily to Eminem. There's definitely an alternative timeline out there where Matt Ox makes music like Tom MacDonald, and thank God that we don't live in that timeline, because one Tom MacDonald is already more than enough. There seems to be something that drew Matt to hip-hop more than any other genre in music, and by the age of 8, he would start writing down raps and recording his first ever tracks, although unfortunately we can't hear a lot of these, although that's probably for the best, as most likely they're not the best quality. However, it seems like his mother wasn't very happy with his newfound hobby, as she saw hip-hop as kind of a bad influence on him, as she could often hear him rapping in his room and letting out a lot of curse words. So instead she attempted to encourage Matt to become a street dancer as well, with him joining a collective known as the Dollar Boys, who would basically do shows all over Philadelphia. However, all that really did for Matt was give him more of a taste of the spotlight, with him really enjoying getting the attention of the entire crowd when he was dancing. However, he didn't really want to share that with all the other members of the dance group, so before long, he'd once again return to hip-hop. Because just like many kids who grow up in a very poor household, he really couldn't ignore the siren call of the rap game, with him seeing all these rappers flexing money, expensive cars, gold chains, gold teeth, and pretty well everything and anything that you could dream of. And Matt really wanted to put his mother in a better position and eventually retire her, so at this point he decided that he was going to be a rapper no matter what. With him releasing his first ever track on January 1st of 2017, going by the name of Alright. And honestly, for a 12-year-old, it's pretty good. There's no doubt that his uncle's professional studio definitely helped him out quite a bit, with him having professional producers who could really put together his vocals in a satisfying way, which put him ahead of the competition by quite a bit. Now, I'm not really certain if he ended up posting this song on SoundCloud. I mean, after all, I couldn't see why not, as the SoundCloud wave was definitely reaching its peak around this time in 2017, but the only existing copy of the song is on Dat Piff, which he would use to release a lot of his initial mixtapes, but when it comes to SoundCloud, all of his early songs seem to either be taken down or were never uploaded there in the first place. But either way, this song actually ended up getting him attention, with him immediately following that up only a couple days later with another track going by the name of Pretty Penny, which he would post on SoundCloud, getting several thousand plays in his first week and catching the attention of a pretty big producer.
Bro, I ain't gonna lie, bro. Now that I'm thinking about it, bro, SoundCloud was such a gateway, bro. It was such a gateway to success. Like, it was a certain time period where you had to be uploading on SoundCloud. And it was a certain time period where that's all I was listening to, bro. SoundCloud was my Fortnite goal, like my Fortnite chest, bro. Like my Fortnite chest. Like, it was like I felt like I was finding a new rapper every single month, bro. I was finding rappers, I don't even know to think of. I was finding crazy rappers like name like Bexy. Like, some people watching this probably not even know what I'm talking about, but I was finding rappers like Bexy, Smart Def, Lil Aaron, Lil Lotus. I was finding rappers before they actually blew up. It was low-key a flex of mine too. And I with my small group of friends, bro, I would flex on them. Like, I found, like, oh my god, Sprightly. I don't even know y'all really know what I'm talking about, bro. Young Pinch. I found Young Pinch before he blew up. Young Garzy. Lil Xan. More Killy. Six Dogs. Bro, it was limited rappers I was listening to, bro. I seen it all. I was watching them all blow up
in Philadelphia, with him being discovered by the producer Oogie from working on Dying, who at that point had already worked with some pretty big names in the SoundCloud scene like Lil Yachty, Black Cray, also known as Sick Boy Rari, and Chapo, with him actually being a full-on member of the group at the time. And it seems like they liked Pretty Penny enough that they
That's crazy. Oogie Man, he killed it. Like that, bro. Maddox actually introduced me into that into this producer, bro. I had no idea, and then I started hearing this tag more and more often.
Big name producer, it definitely was a pretty big step for him.
Diamonds on my wrist and they looking like they mystical. I was in the streets, I was acting like a criminal.
And it seems like Working on Dying really saw something in this kid, because they would continue to work with him throughout the rest of 2017, with them releasing a follow-up track only a month later on March 2nd, 2017, going by the name of Low Key, which also came along with a music video uploaded on the Working on Dying channel. In this video, you can see a young Matt Ox flexing underneath a bridge with a couple of his friends. You can see he's got some gold teeth, he's got a gold chain, so he's definitely already leveling up in the rap game. However, this track really wouldn't get all that much attention.
Bro, I don't know if that's satire or you're trolling Twisted World, bro, but you're hilarious if that's if you're trolling. Leveling up is crazy.
Besides the already existing Working on Dying fan base, who at the time kind of saw it as a little bit weird that they were working with a kid so young. However, none of that would stop them from putting in work, with them releasing another track only a couple days later, going by the name of Michael Myers, which once again had a music video.
I remember that song. That song was actually not that bad.
Flexing a knife, and apparently this actually ended up getting him in trouble with the school. At the time, he was going to a private middle school who had a reputation to upkeep, so a video of one of their students flexing a knife and rapping about killing people definitely wasn't the best look for them, so they ended up expelling him only a couple weeks later. This meant that Matt now had to be homeschooled, which definitely wasn't the best for his education, but when it came to his rap career, it only gave him more time to make music, and he would once again lock in with Working on Dying, releasing another track the following month. This track was called This and That, and once again had a music video on the Working on Dying channel, before he then went on to drop another track on SoundCloud on April 23rd, 2017, called Pockets Overflowing. This was then followed up by his first ever live performance, where he ended up performing Mystical alongside Chapo, and even though he wasn't the headliner at the show, the audience was pretty big, and it seems like they were pretty hyped up to see him live. So he definitely was gaining at least a little bit of a fan base in the local area, despite how young he was. Soon after that, he would then drop another song on his SoundCloud on May 4th, 2017, called Too Late, before then dropping another music video on the Working on Dying channel called Climbers. This video is kind of funny considering the fact that it mostly features Matt Ox dancing in front of a school bus while also not being allowed to go to school at the time, which definitely had to be heavily weighing on his mother at the time, but luckily for her, not long after that, he ended up dropping the track that would change his life forever, going by the name of Overwhelming. Now once again, this song is no longer available on SoundCloud, so either one, it was deleted for one reason or another, or maybe it was never uploaded on there in the first place, but I have heard from a couple different sources that it was uploaded on SoundCloud back in 2017 and ended up getting 10,000 plays in only a day's time. However, it wasn't until the music video dropped a couple days later that the track really took off in a big way. Now, I'm not really sure what it was about this music video that drew people to it so much. I mean, it's really not all that different than any of the other music videos.
This was right when fidget spinners got trendy. Like, I don't know what it was, but it was just perfectly timed, bro. It seemed like strategic plan to post this right when fidget spinners got hot. But I don't blame him though.
That he put out before this point. Once again, you can see him flexing his gold chain. You can see him on a motorcycle. This time he's in a gas station with a bunch of his friends, and they're all playing with fidget spinners, which at the time was a very popular trend, although honestly for the life of me I couldn't tell you why. I was alive during the time that this was all going on, and I remember seeing them everywhere, but I'm not really sure what it was about fidget spinners that drew people in so much.
It lasted like a year, bro. It lasted like a full-on year, bro. It was like everybody had to have it. They was trading them like Pokemon cards, bro, in the hallways in class. Like, you was getting finessed out of one. Like, you was getting robbed. You was getting jugged. You was getting robbed out of fidget spinners, bro. You was getting finessed. I remember that, bro. I remember that one of them broke. One of the pieces, one of the dude's joints broke, and dude started crying, bro. Dude started like, look, bro, I kid you not, bro. I don't know why it was so lit during that time, bro.
It seems like the popularity of the fidget spinner would also wear off on Matt Ox, because the music video ended up getting 10 million views in only a couple weeks, which was way bigger than anything that he had put out prior, and honestly since. With tons and tons of people reacting to this video on YouTube, which of course only helped to push the music video even farther, with almost everybody online during the time talking about this new up-and-coming 12-year-old rapper who was absolutely taking over the game. Although, to be honest with you, they weren't really so positive on him.
I think it was just a good method. Like, you had fidget spinners that was hot during the time. That's one. Then you had a 12 to 13-year-old boy, which wasn't familiar, wasn't really like, you know, your cup of tea during this time. Like, if you seen that, you'll probably be like, nah, like we was trying to, during this time, we was into like lean and popping pills and Xanax around this time. We like the rappers that talked about death, basically. Perfect combination. You got this young Caucasian kid, fidget spinners, and you got a banging song. Bruh, ain't nothing go wrong, bro.
Looking at him as a gimmick
Gotta
and
be
looking at
talked
the
about.
video is kind of funny. With a lot of people claiming that SoundCloud Rap had dumbed hip-hop down so much that even a 12-year-old can make a pretty competent song and blow up. However, I don't feel like that's very fair to Matt, because to be honest with you, even though the song is kind of annoying considering how high his voice is, it's pretty well put together. I think it's actually pretty catchy, and to be honest, for his age, it's pretty good. However, that wouldn't be the only pushback that Matt would get on this music video, because a bunch of parents ended up coming out against it, claiming that it was a bad influence on their kids, and that a kid this young shouldn't be rapping about the types of things that he was rapping about. Which to me is kind of silly, considering the fact that he's not even swearing in the song, he doesn't have any guns, he's not flexing any drugs.
Bro, had the kids on the block lit, bro. You can't tell me this dude didn't. Bro, I praise this kid, bro. I give this dude all the credit in the world, bro. He changed the game.
Weed. I mean, if you're gonna blame anybody for corrupting your kids, I feel like Lil Pump is a much better option. But that wasn't the only way that his age ended up affecting him negatively, because apparently his Instagram page actually ended up getting shadow banned because the app thought that he was too young to post on there, which of course only created more of a divide between him and his fan base. And on top of that, it's gotta be a lot to take as a 12-year-old for so many people to be shitting on you, making fun of the way you look, the way you dress, the way you rap. But despite that, he would continue to soldier on, dropping a follow-up to that track on May 30th of 2017 called Big Enough, which ended up doing pretty well on SoundCloud, but without a music video to go along with it, it can't really be considered the full-on follow-up to Overwhelming. However, this track was really only a sample platter of what was to come, because soon after that in June, he actually ended up releasing his first official mixtape called Oxworld, which ended up coming out on Dat Piff for some reason. I'm not really sure why Matt decided to put the track out on that platform, as in 2017 it was becoming quickly more and more irrelevant with SoundCloud becoming more popular, but maybe he felt like he couldn't put out an entire mixtape on SoundCloud and only wanted to use it for singles.
What is that Piff? It's like an alternate like music uploader. Is that like a similarity to like DistroKid or something like that?
Maybe he's a 12-year-old who had absolutely no idea what he was doing. But either way, the mixtape ended up coming out. It seems like fans liked it, but honestly, besides the tracks that were already released previously, nothing on this project really made a whole lot of noise. The only real notable track on this project is one called Problem Child, which was actually produced by Ronnie J, which is kind of a cool connection, but at the same time, this song is mostly forgotten to history nowadays.
Oh my God,
soon after that, Matt would do...
Oh my God, dang, bro. Matt X was really locked in with some upcoming producers. Yeah. I found out, oh my God, Ronnie, I keep saying the producer tag instead of name. Ronnie J off of Icy Narco. That's another rapper that I had no business listening to. If you don't remember Icy Narco, but just look it up.
His first ever interview on Ill Roots, as well as performing once again in front of a live audience, and even getting the chance to meet Chief Keef, which had to be absolutely crazy for him considering the fact that he basically grew up listening to Chief Keef, although to be fair with you, I guess at the age of 12 he is still growing up, so maybe it really didn't register with him all that much. Soon after that, he would get the chance to go on No Jumper and do an interview, which unfortunately was incredibly awkward considering the fact that Adam is like a 30-year-old man and he probably doesn't really know how to talk to 12-year-olds, as well as Matt definitely trying to copy what he thought was cool in hip-hop at the time. I mean, a lot of the rappers that went on No Jumper during 2017 were completely stoned out of their...
That's another era, bro. Oh my God, bro. You're about to get me on a rant, Twisted World. You just don't remember No Jumper, bro. Before, like, Cole Bennett, any of these podcasts now, bro. Like, No Jumper. If you got on No Jumper, bro, you was about to come up. Now it's like some freaking Batty Hub, corn related. I don't know, bro. That joint's cooked now. That whole genre or relation, even the thought of No Jumper and Adam, bro, is cooked, bro. I feel like he cooked himself after that that cuck stuff he had going on, bro. I didn't want to speak on that.
Drugs, so Matt probably saw that and tried to imitate it to the best of his ability, but with him only being 12 years old and of course not being on drugs at the time, a lot of people ended up clowning him in the comments. With him repeating the term "you feel me" over and over and over again, which of course people noticed and pointed out in the comments, but to be fair with you, for his age, he was actually quite a bit more articulate than a lot of these other rappers, so you gotta give him some
game, bro. He was out of his mind.
That, in July, he got the chance to meet a couple members of GBC, including Lil Peep and Tracy, which he was connected to through Chapo, and he actually managed to score a full-on feature from Lil Tracy on the track Pom Pom, which ended up releasing with a music video on the Working on Dying channel, reaching 1.5 million views, which definitely isn't bad, but at the same time, at this point, Overwhelming had become a massive hit, so as a follow-up, Pom Pom was kind of disappointing in the numbers department. And this would actually be the very last time that he got a music video on the Working on Dying channel, with him shortly after signing a record deal with Warner Brothers and starting to post music videos on his own personal YouTube channel. So at this point, things couldn't be better, as after all, when he signed that deal, he got a pretty big cash advance, with him being able to retire his mother at the age of 12, which definitely had to...
Bro, I'm getting NETTSPEND vibes, bro. If y'all showed the inch, even the slightest bit of love towards Maddox that y'all do to NETTSPEND right now, bro, Maddox would be way bigger than what he is now.
Pretty good for him, but at the same time, there was a lot of pressure. After all, basically everything that he had done since Overwhelming wasn't really hitting the same way, and a lot of people are starting to consider him a fad rapper who's going to fade away any day now. And being washed up at the age of 13 definitely is not where anybody wants to be in their life. But now that he had the label and all of its money behind him, he was able to get more opportunities than ever before, with him immediately going on a radio show to do a freestyle.
They don't see the vision. See these boys, they slipping. Get into my chicken. Do my dance. All these diamonds prance. I was in the building. If you talk, catch hands.
Before then doing a track with Comethazine called Fold, which ended up getting posted on the Elevator channel.
Elevator! Oh my god, bro. This is so 2017, 2018, bro. If you had got an elevator, bro, and what was another thing? It was another joint I was on. A story. Oh my god, y'all don't know. Y'all just don't know, bro. You don't know nothing about a story, bro. I was really finding rappers on the story, bro.
You wanna beat me, you just as a bitch. Me and Comethazine full of you fall. You was so trash, you get the spray.
Before he then went on to appear on the Noisy channel, doing kind of a pseudo interview documentary type thing where he would introduce the world to who he was and where he came from, which he then followed up by dropping the audio for a new song on his personal YouTube channel called Youngest Coming Up, which ended up doing a pretty solid 500,000 views. That was soon followed up by another track in November called Athlete, before then dropping a music video for his track Yeah Yeah and the audio for his track Deposit in December.
I go to my bag and make deposits. Gucci, Louis, Fendi in my closet.
And funnily enough, when asked in a recent interview, he would describe this time in his career as when he really felt like he was falling off, with nobody listening to the new tracks that he was putting out. Although, I don't really feel like that's accurate, as the tracks were definitely still getting...
this is the era that I just didn't understand about Maddox, bro. Why was he doing this to his hair? Can I get an explanation on that during this video? Why did he start randomly not washing his hair? What was the reason? Please, I gotta know. Because I remember questioning it throughout the years as it progressively got worse. And if you see his final boss stage, this dude literally got some type of formed wicks of dreads somehow, but it's not really formed correctly. It's like some actual normal Caucasian hair and then white people hair, and then it's like some actual locks. This shit is nasty.
Numbers. I think a lot of rappers would kill to get 500,000 views on a simple audio, but considering how big Matt had gotten in the previous months, it does make sense that only 500,000 would seem kind of disappointing to him. And that had to be a really crappy feeling considering the fact that he had only recently turned 13, which at this point is probably considered unk status, so he was becoming way too old way too fast. No, but in all seriousness, he would end off the year 2017 by actually getting in the studio with Lil Uzi Vert, which is absolutely crazy considering considering how big he was at that time, although the track never ended up dropping for one reason or another. And I'm not gonna lie, I'm actually a little bit surprised that he never ended up doing a feature with Famous Dex, because basically every rapper who blew up between 2015 to around 2018 seems to have done a song with Famous Dex at one time or another, but for Matt Ox, it never ended up happening. Once 2018 rolled around, Matt would primarily try to hype up the release of his debut album called Ox, or maybe it's called OX, but I'm pretty sure it's called Ox. But before he even got the chance to put out a single on that project, he ended up getting the biggest opportunity of his entire career, as him and XXXTentacion would get on a FaceTime call where Matt would end up showing him an at the time unreleased track that apparently X liked so much that he asked him to send it to him for him to put a feature on. And of course Matt agreed, as after all, during that time XXXTentacion was one of the biggest rappers in the game, and having him as a feature on your album would definitely help it out. But only a couple days later, X would hit him up again saying that he actually wanted to put the song on his own album, which of course Matt got super excited for, as this would actually be an even bigger opportunity than having X on his own album, as Question Mark was about to be one of the biggest projects to ever release in 2018, with the project coming out only a month later in March of 2018, and once it dropped, every single track on the project started doing numbers. And this was a massive opportunity for Matt, as after all, at this point, most people already considered him fallen off, with a lot of people seeing him as nothing more than a fad rapper whose career couldn't possibly be any longer than a couple months. And a lot of people were really caught off guard by the fact that he appeared on the album first of all, but also by the fact that the song was actually pretty good and probably one of the most catchy songs on the entire project.
Why you ain't know my crew?
And the craziest part about
my BBS is rule. Wait,
all of this is that Matt Ox is probably set for the rest of his life solely off the royalties of this one track, as it's now over 100 million streams on Spotify alone, not to mention the audio on YouTube, Apple Music, and multiple other platforms. So this kid and the rest of his bloodline is definitely going to be eating off of this song for multiple years to come. And with all this newfound attention back on Matt, he would immediately drop a song on SoundCloud called Tesla, which ended up gaining 1.4 million plays, which is pretty decent. Although surprisingly, he wouldn't continue to build on the momentum that he had built up from that X track, with him actually taking a short break during this time for mostly unknown reasons. Although if I had to speculate the reason behind it, it's probably due to the passing of X, as well as the growing pressures of his newfound fame, as after all, in a couple short months, he had basically gone from any average kid to one of the biggest rappers out of Philadelphia at the time. And he would explain how annoying it was for him to have to walk down the street and have multiple people try to stop him for a picture or an autograph. He basically lost all the privacy that he had before, and with him being so young, that definitely had to be a lot of pressure. However, he wouldn't be gone for too long, as he would reappear in summer 2018, going on a No Jumper live stream where he would show off his new blue hair, which was most likely inspired by X, before finally dropping the lead single off his debut project called 0 Degrees, which apparently was recorded all the way back in early 2017 before he put out Overwhelming, so the sound was a little bit dated. However, it seems like the track ended up doing pretty well, with it having a music video where him and his friends would go trick-or-treating, as well as him getting a Genius interview shortly after that. That was then followed up by the second single off the project called Jet Lag, which of course featured Chief Keef, which was a massive song for him at the time, with him now having co-signs from Lil Uzi Vert, Lil Tracy, Lil Peep, and Chief Keef. But unfortunately, when the full-on project came out in late 2018, it was pretty disappointing, with nobody really sticking around to listen to a full project from Matt Ox, and a lot of people saying that it had very mindless lyrics with not a lot of substance. And this project would also be the end of his record deal, as apparently he was too young to sign the contract, with both him and Lil Pump being released from Warner Brothers, although Lil Pump was re-signed later on, but Matt Ox never was. So unfortunately, he would lose that industry machine, but at the same time, he was able to keep all the money that he got from the advance, so honestly, not that bad of a situation overall. After that, he would then appear on Mass Appeal before ending off the year 2018 as a fully independent artist.
So his age was like a gift and a curse, bro. Because if he was just a little older, bro, the industry would have gave him a way much bigger push.
It seems like Matt's main goal for 2019 was to get on the XXL freshman list, although to be honest with you, 2019 is definitely a little bit late for Matt, considering the fact that he basically blew up in 2017 and hit his peak in 2018. However, he would still attempt to do a pitch as well as getting a full-on ABC video on the channel, which is kind of weird considering the fact that you usually have to be a freshman to get one of these videos, but but for one reason or another, they ended up giving Matt one of these. However, he would unfortunately not make the list, and after releasing a music video for Jet Lag in April of 2019, he once again took a little bit of a break from music. Once again, I'm not really sure what the reason behind this was, but he would describe him doing a lot of psychoactive drugs around the age of 14, so maybe his mother felt like the music industry wasn't really the safest spot for him and wanted to make him feel like a real kid for a couple months before jumping back into it. But even though he was taking a break from music, he would still appear in the public eye by doing an interview alongside his mom, which you could probably expect what the comment section for that video was like, but soon after that he would then perform at Rolling Loud, which is one of the biggest opportunities that you can get as an upcoming artist, before he then performed at Summer Smash alongside Juice WRLD, meaning that he got to meet Lil Peep, XXXTentacion, and Juice all before they passed away, so that's definitely pretty legendary. But after that, he wouldn't really do a whole lot until 2020, when he would once again appear on No Jumper doing an interview where you could definitely tell that he grew up a little bit. I mean, after all, at this point he was 15 years old, which really isn't all that old, but growing up within the music industry definitely wised him up at a pretty young age, and a lot of people really like to see this more mature side of Matt. However, unfortunately at this point the fall off seemed inevitable. I mean, after all, he hadn't really dropped any music throughout 2019, it had been a couple years since we got a project from him, and a lot of people had mostly forgotten about him. However, luckily for him, even though a lot of his initial clout had faded away, he still had a pretty strong fan base, with a lot of people waiting to see him mature, hit puberty, and eventually make different types of music with his new deeper voice. And seeing as how he was still so young, he definitely had a pretty solid chance of making a comeback, as after all, in 2020, basically the entire music industry flipped on its head, with TikTok becoming a lot more popular and a whole new wave coming out from the underground. Back in 2017, when he first blew up, he was kind of an oddity for being a young white boy trying to make rap music, but now in 2020, almost half of the underground is a bunch of white kids, with Ian, NETTSPEND, and 2Hollis taking over the game, and this would somewhat help to rehabilitate Matt Ox.
He walked so they could run. I'm saying it here, I'm saying it right now. Matt Ox walked so your favorite white rappers today could run. Matt Ox really hop on IG story or IG live, just really talking shit for real. I need to really see a different side of Matt Ox. Matt Ox been quiet way too long, bro. Really like these, but you know the comments gonna be like, bro, you fell off and stuff like that. Like, I think it's too late. And I'm thinking about it, it's probably too late, bro. The IG comments are brutal. But still, I wish he would have did that, bro.
His reputation, as he basically went from a trend-hopping rapper who blew up for his
Still
age to now actually being an innovator in the underground scene. Although, once again, I'm not really sure if it's the most popular trend to be the grandfather of, but either way, that's the spot he found himself in, and it was now time for him to capitalize on that. With him telling Adam that he had multiple mixtapes that he recorded during the year 2019 and 2020 and was ready to release them all through the following years. His first comeback single would come out in June of 2020, being called Beat Me Up, which was definitely a change of pace for Matt Ox, with it sounding a lot more like Playboy Cardi than, well, Matt Ox. It was a lot more melodic and drugged out than any of his previous music, and it seems like his fan base really liked this song. So
I think, bro, as a kid, bro, you don't even really know if you got a sound or not, bro. I think that's what Matt Ox is probably still currently, because we basically seen this dude grow up in front of our eyes. So, did Matt Ox even have a sound when he dropped Overwhelming in his other tracks? He was just rapping. He was just rapping for real. So, whatever he's trying now, how old is Matt Ox now, bro? Let me see. And he 20. Wow. Time is going by quick. Well, really, bro, he's still goofy young, bro. He's still trying to probably find his sound, bro. So if he end up biting somebody, he'll probably publish it and just, you know, dish it out in the upcoming future, bro. Cause he still gotta find his sound, bro. Cause his most famous song, he was just rapping for real. He didn't have no as a, like a particular voice.
Thinking to go down this trend, he'd probably find himself with a pretty solid comeback in no time. And the track itself ended up getting 300,000 views on YouTube alone, which is pretty solid considering most people thought that he was fully fallen off at this point. And Matt found himself in a very good position, as after all, he had basically already made all his money off of music, the royalties were paying everything, he was able to retire his mom, so he really had nothing left to prove, he had no reason to have to make mainstream music, and he could...
Imagine retiring your mom at the age of like 14 or 15. No. So he blew up at 13, 14, so yeah. I'll say about 19, 20. He retired his mom at 19, 20 years old, bro. Bro, he got so much life ahead of him.
Really experiment. However, not all of this experimentation was really the best, as he ended up putting out another track called Dazed and Confused, which is honestly one of the worst songs I've ever heard. It's basically off-key singing throughout the entire thing.
Dazed in the summer lights, like a maze, I'm stuck up in this light.
And a lot of people describe it as sounding majestic, while also terrible at the same time. However, even with the song being terrible, the track still ended up getting a million views on YouTube, which means that people either really like clowning Matt, or maybe people actually like this type of music. I mean, I wouldn't be surprised at this point. After that, in December, he would drop another track called Learned, which is definitely a bit of a step up from Dazed and Confused, but to be honest with you, I still think it's pretty apt.
Oh, the tables turn, the bridges burn. What have I learned?
Before he then finally ended off the year by dropping an entire project called Sweet
Bro,
16.
the more I keep hearing new
this
songs,
project was
bro,
mostly overlooked, as at this point
defend
not many
Maddox.
people
Come
were
on,
checking
bro.
in for that new Matt Ox, but the fan base that he had at the time definitely did enjoy it, and he would continue to build off that in the following years. It's kind of funny to think how some projects are viewed in the public eye, because if you have been steadily listening to Matt Ox throughout 2017 into 2020, you probably wouldn't have thought a whole lot about this project, but if you listened to him back in 2017 and then stopped for years, only to return to this project, you probably would think, what the hell happened to this kid? This is where most videos about Matt Ox basically end, with a lot of people saying this is the project that fully cemented his fall off, as after all, it didn't do as well as his debut album, but when you consider that it was an independent project which basically had no promotion, it did pretty well. In 2021, he would keep his foot on the gas, dropping multiple music videos and interviews, with him actually doing an interview with Anthony Fantano, which is kind of surprising considering the fact that Anthony never reviewed any of his prior projects. However, I feel like this was a very smart move by Matt Ox, as after all, a lot of people in Anthony's fan base had probably all forgotten about him. But with this interview reminding them all...
This dude right here is a D1 hater, bro. Anything underground, bro, he completely shits on it, bro. So I am shocked to even see this.
That he still was around, a lot of people would go check out his music, and he gained a lot more fans. After that, he would drop another track called Up a Notch, which is kind of that similar Cardi style, although a little bit more aggressive and loud than the previous tracks. After that track, he would continue with a similar style, dropping a track called Pop It, which is honestly a pretty good song and probably the first track from him that really impresses me.
Poppin' off, pop it, rock it off, top it off, top it, cop it off, top it off.
After that, he would release a mixtape called Unorthodox, which released on Chinese New Year, basically meant to represent the year that Matt Ox was going to make a comeback, as after all, it was the year of the Ox. And this project is actually pretty interesting considering the fact that a lot of the songs off of it feature multiple beat switches, with Matt saying the reason he did this was because people had really short attention spans in the post-TikTok world, so he was hoping to keep their attention by switching it up constantly. Which for a 16-year-old is definitely a pretty deep thought, and it seemed to work out because once again the project ended up doing well, he once again grew his fan base, and it seems like a lot of people were coming back to see what Matt was dropping. In April of 2021, he would then appear on Next Generation Music doing an interview, and that channel is basically the modern day No Jumper, with underground talent appearing on there and doing interviews. It's definitely one of my favorite channels right now, and it's cool to see that Matt was an early adopter of theirs. In July, he would then do an interview on Kids Take Over, which is once again another massive brand in the modern underground, with him then continuing to drop new music throughout the year of 2021. 2021, including one track called Riding Round featuring Uno the Activist, which all led up to the release of his absolutely massive project Year of the Ox, which had 30 plus tracks on it, as well as including yet again another feature from Uno the Activist on the track Rich Young Kid, which goes to show that he was still getting cosigns even this late into his career. After that, in 2022, we then got two more mixtapes called The Goop Effect and Teen Rape.
Bro, how do you... Bro, I'm trying to pay attention to the actual meaning of this video, but how is throughout the video, I'm seeing clips of this one dread on the back of Maddox's head just formally getting bigger.
He then immediately started off 2023 by appearing on a Josiah track called Killers and Robbers, which had features from both him, Midwest, and Denzel Curry. So that now means that Matt Ox has a feature from 3 out of the 5 members of the XXL 2016 Cypher. So all he really needs now is 21 Savage, which doesn't really seem all that attainable, but it could happen, and Kodak Black, which I could definitely see happening in the next couple years. And 2023 would also include 4 new projects, one called AI.0X, which included yet another collaboration from him and Uno the Activist, before he then dropped a collaboration project with Surf Gang, a collective that he had worked with a lot in the prior year, with this project mostly being notable for having a feature from Posto Flacco, who is somebody who worked heavily with Lil Tecca in his early days, so definitely a pretty good cosign once again. After that, he would then drop another project called OXO, which had a feature from Cash Dami, another artist who ended up blowing up at a very young age, before he then went on to perform at Summer Smash once again. He would then finish off the year by dropping yet another project, as well as appearing on The Radar, which
See, bro, what the heck happened? What happened? Bro, what genuinely happened for his head to evolve into this, bro? There's no way, bro. There's no way, bro. This dude started that at the age of like 15, bro. This dude's 20 now. You tell me he didn't wash his hair for 6 years?
Every upcoming artist has to go nowadays if they want to get attention, although they do have a lot of people on there who aren't all that famous. After that, in 2024, he ended up dropping 3 new mixtapes, one called I Don't Want to Grow Up, one called Aqua League, which was basically a small SoundCloud project that was only meant to be for his fans, before then ending off the year with another project called Oxy Live. And it seems like in 2025 he isn't slowing down at all, because he actually has another project that's going to be releasing sometime this year, which as of right now doesn't have a name. But what we do know about it is that apparently it's going to have a feature from BLP Kosher, so that's going to be a pretty big cosign for him. And overall, it seems like Matt is doing really well in the modern day rap game, with him sitting at a pretty solid 700,000 plus monthly listeners on Spotify, which is pretty decent for somebody who's considered underground and mostly fallen off. And I feel like it's only a matter of time before he ends up getting on Blackboy Max's stream and blowing up in a big way. And honestly, I think he deserves it, because if you listen to a lot of his modern day...
Oh my god, Twisted World, you're speaking into the future game. Bro, I could literally see Maddox hopping on Max's stream and just getting that fan base back, bro. And just the stream talking about the era that we all witnessed, bro. Oh my god, Twisted World, I fuck with you, bro. We like these, bro. We know what could be happening.
Music, it's actually pretty good. And when it comes to his contemporaries at the time, he's basically the only one that's still around. I mean, Little Blurry basically fell off the face of the planet. Little Tay is trying to clout chase by faking illnesses, as well as beefing with Bad Baby for attention. Although, to be honest with you, Bad Baby is still doing pretty well. And Lil Pump is trying to grift off the whole mega movement for a little bit of attention. So I feel like when it comes to all the young rappers who blew up during that time, Matt Ox is probably in one of the best positions, with him never really having to pull a gimmick to get the attention back on him. And while he's not the biggest rapper in the game, he definitely seems to be in a pretty good spot and happy with what he's doing. I mean, you can tell that the guy definitely likes making music. He's now 20 years old and he seems pretty well adjusted considering how bad things could have went with him being a child star. And look at that, he even ended up getting a feature from Famous Dex. So basically everything has gone full circle and he seems to be in a good spot. So with all that said, I really hope that this video was able to shine a bit of a better light on Matt Ox Ox's career. I mean, after all, like I said, basically every video that I've seen on him talks about how he fell off, that he was a gimmick, a trend, and I want to show that he's still around, he's still making music. And even after an artist is considered falling off in the mainstream, oftentimes they're still around doing something. Some fall offs are definitely worse than others, but when it comes to Matt Ox, his fall off definitely doesn't seem that bad, and a comeback basically seems inevitable. So with all that said,
he's gotta be talking about me. Twist the world, you gotta be talking about me, bro. Look, this is why we come to Twist the World, man. It gives us the full explanation and tells us exactly why the rapper is dealing with irrelevancy. He just breaks it down of who was once on our playlist back in the day and why they're currently not anymore. So shout out to Twisted World for yet another banger video describing yet another important piece of our, would I say childhood? Just our past music taste around that era. Let me know which other artists y'all want me to react to. You know, the golden era of the music playlist. Around, I would say around 2016 to 2018. Of any other artists y'all want me to react to and why we just don't hear from them anymore. You know the drill, man. You can do whatever you want in life because it's in the name and because we stand by that and we will forever go by that. Yeah.